Is the most expensive transfer always the best? I've gone through the last 15 years of transfer windows, and today we're going to be comparing the most expensive transfer to who was actually the best transfer that year. And let me tell you from now, while sometimes money bought class, there are other times it went horribly wrong. Kicking off in 2010 when David Villa moved from Valencia to Barcelona for 40 million euros. And while there's some much bigger transfer fees coming up, 40 mil is still nothing to be sniffed at. And straight after joining Barcelona, he helped Spain win the 2010 World Cup and was the tournament's joint top goal scorer. In his 3 seasons at Camp Nou, he scored 48 goals and won La Liga twice and the Champions League. So it would be unfair to call his time there a failure, as he did contribute to a top Barcelona team, but he wasn't the best transfer of 2010. And that's because a player who left Barcelona that summer was transformational to Man City's fortunes, as when Yaya Toure made the 30 million euro switch to England, he was seen as a flop in La Liga. But at Manchester City, he absolutely dominated midfield and turned the Sky Blues from also-rans to title challengers. He helped them win their first Premier League title in 2012 and won the African Footballer of the Year 4 years in a row. And boy, could he score. In 2013-14, Yaya Toure became only the second midfielder ever to score 20 goals in a single Premier League season. But then he left Man City, apparently after nobody bought him a birthday cake. The most expensive signing of 2011 definitely didn't work out, as Fernando Torres made the January move from Liverpool to Chelsea for 58 million euros, which, at the time, was a British transfer record. But he already appeared to be struggling for goals at the end of his time at Anfield, and after moving to Chelsea, he only scored 1 goal in his first 18 games. He missed so many easy chances and one-on-ones that he became a total meme, and in 110 Premier League games for Chelsea, Torres only scored 20 goals compared to 65 goals in 102 games for Liverpool, who sold him at the perfect time to cash in. But it was another striker from Atletico Madrid who was the best of 2011, as Sergio Aguero was just as important to Manchester City's first title as Yaya Toure. And of course, Aguero scored the famous last-minute goal against QPR to win that first title and banged in an incredible 260 goals for City after moving there from Atletico. In the 2014-15 season, he was the Premier League's top goal scorer. So, you can imagine that Chelsea probably wished they'd signed Aguero instead of Torres. 2012's most expensive player didn't score goals, he stopped them from getting scored. Brazil's Thiago Silva is an absolute Rolls-Royce of a defender and has a price tag to match, as he made the move from Milan to Paris Saint-Germain for 42 million euros, making him the most expensive ever defender at the time. And Silva delivered some big performances for PSG to justify his price tag and won the league 7 times, as well as being praised for some world-class performances in the Champions League. But one signing in 2012 was even better. And that player was Luka Modric, who moved from Tottenham Hotspur to Real Madrid for 35 million euros and quickly became the best midfielder not just in Madrid, but the whole of Spain, if not the world, as he helped Real Madrid win the Champions League 6 times, took his country Croatia to the World Cup final, and won the Ballon d'Or. So, it's no slight on Thiago Silva to call Modric the better transfer, as the 35 million euros Real Madrid paid for Modric looks an absolute steal for one of the greatest ever midfielders and for someone who played almost 600 times for Madrid. Modric wasn't the only player to move from White Hart Lane to the Bernabeu, as the following year, Real spent a king's ransom on Spurs' Welsh superstar Gareth Bale. Unlike Modric, Bale divides opinions in Madrid, as he did score more than 100 goals for the club, as well as an insane bicycle kick that is one of the greatest goals scored in any Champions League final. But at the same time, injuries and a perceived inability to settle in at Madrid caused some fans to turn on him, especially as some people thought he preferred golf in Wales to Madrid. And when your price tag is north of 100 million euros, you pretty much have to be perfect to justify that kind of spend. And so, the best signing of 2013 goes to a player who left the Bernabeu, midfield assist king Mesut Ozil, who moved to Arsenal for 47 million euros. And his departure angered Cristiano Ronaldo, who had played almost telepathically with Ozil at Madrid. And in his first season in North London, Ozil racked up 13 assists and 7 goals and helped Arsenal win the FA Cup, which they would win again and again with Ozil in midfield, and only 3 players have ever topped his 19 Premier League assists in 2015-16. But there's some huge transfer flops to come, especially from Man United, who spent the entire content of the Bank of England on a bunch of donkeys, as well as some other signings that turned out to be absolute goats. 2014 saw the most expensive transfer actually work out to be the best transfer of the year, as Luis Suarez moved from Liverpool to Barcelona for 82 million euros. Before that, he helped Liverpool come one slip away from a Premier League title as part of the SSS, Suarez, Sturridge, and Sterling. But at Barcelona, he became part of the iconic trio of MSN, Messi, Suarez, and Neymar, who dominated football. While the other 2 players got most of the spotlight, it was Suarez who really made MSN tick, as the trio scored 122 goals in their first season together. And to show just how good Suarez was, in 2015-16, he won the European Golden Boot after scoring 59 goals in all competitions. In his time at Barcelona, he scored just under 200 goals and, of course, won the Champions League. And he didn't even have to bite anybody. Perhaps if he was from a bit more fashionable country than Uruguay, he would have certainly been in contention for the Ballon d'Or. In 2015, Manchester City also spent a huge amount of dosh, but got the best signing of the year in return, as they signed Kevin De Bruyne from Wolfsburg for 76 million euros. It's incredible that just a few years earlier, Chelsea saw him as surplus to requirements, but Chelsea's loss is Man City's gain, as it took no time at all for De Bruyne to impress, as he was central to Man City winning 6 Premier League titles and getting 100 points in a season for the first time in history. He was an absolute must-pick for fantasy football fans, as he just got assist after assist, including 20 assists and 13 goals in the Premier League in 2019-20, which led him to get 3rd place in the Ballon d'Or. And he was twice named Premier League Player of the Season. While Man City have made several great signings, none have been as great as KDB. But across the city, Man United also spent big, but perhaps not quite as wisely. That's because in 2016, they blew a whopping 105 million euros on buying Paul Pogba from Juventus. The funny thing is, Pogba actually joined Juve on a free transfer from United just 4 years earlier, and as much as 27 million euros of his fee reportedly went to his agent, it only took a few matches before Pogba was getting criticized for his lack of discipline. It didn't take long before he started pushing for another payday and fell out with his head coaches, including a reported confrontation with Jose Mourinho just before his sacking, and in the end, Pogba's spell at United didn't work out, and he returned to Juventus on a free transfer yet again. A much better signing in 2016 was Sadio Mane's move to Liverpool from Southampton, as he repaid his €40 million price tag straight away as Liverpool's Player of the Season in 16-17. 2 years later, he scored the goal that won Liverpool their 6th Champions League, and while he often gets overlooked in favor of some other Liverpool signings that we'll get to shortly, Mane's 120 goals and all-round great play helped Liverpool finally win the Premier League and helped Senegal win the African Cup of Nations. 2017 saw the most expensive transfer of all time, as Neymar moved from Barcelona to PSG for €222 million, and for PSG, they were signing a player who had been incredible at Barcelona. They were signing him with one thing in mind: trying to win the Champions League. Neymar started off well in Paris and even came 3rd in the 2017 Ballon d'Or, but his time in France was disrupted by injuries, and although he came so close to his goal of winning the Champions League with PSG, they fell at the final hurdle in 2020, losing in the final to Bayern Munich. While Neymar's time in Paris went a lot better than some critics claim, he didn't reach the heights that his transfer fee demanded, and there's one player in 2017 who smashed all expectations to win club football's top honors. And that's because another Chelsea reject became the best signing of the year, as Liverpool signed Mo Salah that summer for €42 million from Roma, and the rest is history. The Egyptian king was the Premier League's top scorer 4 times and helped Liverpool win the league and the Champions League, and he even won the Puskás Award for Best Goal of the Season, as he cemented his reputation as a Liverpool legend, and Chelsea must have wondered why they keep pushing out the world's best players. Just like in 2017, 2018 saw Paris Saint-Germain spend money like it was going out of fashion, stumping up an incredible €180 million for Kylian Mbappe, making him the world's most expensive teenager. And his age and potential at the time were part of the reason for the sky-high price tag, since he'd only scored 27 goals for Monaco in Ligue 1. But apart from his first season at PSG, he would bag at least 30 goals a season for the Parisians in his 7 seasons before moving to Real Madrid. And it should be pointed out that he actually joined PSG on loan the year earlier in 2017. But, like Neymar, he was brought in to win the Champions League and not only failed, but as soon as he left, PSG did win the Champions League. And most of the biggest signings have been summer signings. But the winter of 2018 saw a signing that changed Liverpool from hopefuls to genuine title contenders as they splashed out for Southampton defender Virgil van Dijk, who was the missing piece of the jigsaw, giving Liverpool a solid platform at the back as one of the world's best defenders. Van Dijk helped them go on to win the Premier League twice and the Champions League, and his importance could be seen by how much Liverpool struggled in the season he was injured by Jordan Pickford, and it's not that often a defender does well in the Ballon d'Or, but in 2019, Van Dijk came second in the Ballon d'Or behind only Lionel Messi. This next transfer has to go down as one of the biggest ever flops. I mean, Atletico Madrid truly had their pants pulled down by Benfica when they spent 127 million euros on Joao Felix, who just couldn't live up to the hype that his price tag had generated. Although he did win La Liga with Atletico and was even named their player of the season in 21-22, he never seemed anywhere near reaching his potential at Atletico, who then started loaning him out, first to Chelsea and then Barcelona, in the hope of finding a buyer, and eventually he did join Chelsea but didn't do too well there either. The best signing of 2019 was something of a slow burner as Manchester City signed Rodri from Atletico Madrid for what was at the time Manchester City's biggest ever transfer fee. And as a holding midfielder, Rodri went under the radar despite impressive stats as City won trophy after trophy. And it was only in 2024, after Spain won the European Championship, that Rodri's genius was finally appreciated and he won the Ballon d'Or. 2020's most expensive player is probably one of the least appreciated big money signings out there, as Chelsea signed Kai Havertz from Bayer Leverkusen for 100 million euros. And Havertz has a unique skill in that he's one of the best in the world at receiving passes that break through the opposition lines, but many fans don't appreciate this and judge him based on his lack of goals. But when it comes to goals in clutch games, Kai's your man, as he scored the only goal of the game when Chelsea beat Man City in the Champions League final. But 2020's best signing is undoubtedly Bruno Fernandes, who moved from Sporting to Man United and became the key player at Old Trafford, scoring more than 100 goals and getting just as many assists, including breaking the record for the most assists in a single Premier League season. And while the past 5 years have been dark days for the Old Trafford faithful, Fernandes has been one of the very few bright lights as they finally got a big transfer right. In 2021, United's rivals Manchester City once again broke the English transfer record by signing Jack Grealish from Aston Villa for 113 million euros. It was almost impossible for Grealish to live up to that insane fee, and while he was a part of the treble-winning side of 22-23, with some mega performances such as in the win against Real Madrid, a series of injuries, and a tactical switch by Pep Guardiola saw Grealish sidelined, and he was even loaned out to Everton, which is not what you want to hear from a 100 million euro signing. If any club has learned its lesson that money can't always buy success, it's Paris Saint-Germain, as after their spending frenzy on Neymar and Mbappe, PSG finally started making sensible signings, including Achraf Hakimi in 2021. While strikers usually get all the credit, signing one of the world's best fullbacks was a genius move by the Paris club, as Hakimi had already been awesome at Borussia Dortmund and quickly gave PSG the balance they needed going forwards, leading to 2 Champions League triumphs and being one of the contenders for the Ballon d'Or in 2025, as well as leading his country to a World Cup semi-final. In 2022, Man United were back to their old ways and spent huge money on another dud, this time splashing out 95 million euros to sign Antony from Ajax. 95 million is a lot to spend on any player, but it is literally crazy money for a player who had only ever played in Brazil and in the Eredivisie in the Netherlands, which is a league that makes anyone look good. So when Antony arrived at Old Trafford, he flopped big time, but on the rare occasions he did score, he acted like he'd just won the World Cup, once doing 7 different celebrations after scoring a penalty against Barnsley. So it was no surprise when United shipped him off to Spain, and if you can think of a worse big money signing, tell us in the comments below. To make things worse for United, that summer local rivals Man City won the race to sign the hottest property in football, Erling Haaland. It's fair to say that the Viking Terminator has been a massive success, scoring an insane 162 goals in 192 games for City, winning 3 Premier League Golden Boots, and being the fastest player in Premier League history to score 100 goals. Man United might have had a chance of signing him if Roy Keane hadn't destroyed Haaland's dad's leg all those years ago. Luckily for United, there's a new cash burner in town, as Chelsea attempted to spend the entire GDP of a small nation in the space of 2 years, and the most expensive of those crazy transfers was Enzo Fernandes, who cost €121 million despite only playing 17 league games for Benfica. While Enzo has been a key player for Argentina and one of Chelsea's better performers in recent years, he's yet to really justify that insane price tag. Although Chelsea did buy him as a key player for the future, so maybe he'll still get a chance to prove his doubters wrong. The best signing of 2023 is without a doubt Declan Rice, as Arsenal's decision to part with €116 million for the West Ham midfielder is the kind of bold move that the Gunners needed to make to go from 4th place wannabes to actual title contenders. Rice has been absolutely key for Arsenal, dominating the midfield in a way that no Gunner has done since Patrick Vieira, and he gave Arsenal a platform to finally win their first Premier League title in 22 years. But the most expensive transfer in 2024 was rather surprising, as it was a player leaving Man City, as Julian Alvarez moved to Atletico for €75 million, and it seemed mad that City would sell him. But when you're competing with Erling Haaland for a starting role, then it's always going to be tough. Alvarez thrived at Atletico, scoring roughly a goal every 2 games and being named La Liga Player of the Season. He's definitely a contender for the best signing of 2024 and will probably be the most expensive signing of 2026 too. But another player who has arguably been even better than Julian Alvarez is Michael Olise, who's been incredible since joining Bayern Munich from Crystal Palace, as he adapted to the big move almost instantly and was named the Bundesliga's best player in 25-26 and even a contender for the Ballon d'Or. He became only the 2nd player ever to manage 15 goals and 15 assists in a single Bundesliga season. 2025 saw an expensive rebuild at Liverpool, who made 3 of the most expensive signings of the summer, including Alexander Isak at a whopping €145 million. While it is still too early to judge him yet, Isak did not get off to a good start, as injuries and a lack of fitness meant he only scored 4 goals in his first season at Anfield. But with a new head coach, maybe he can turn things around in 2026. But one player Liverpool will be wishing they could have signed is Kvaratskhelia, who made the winter switch from Napoli to Paris, and after already leading Napoli to glory, he helped PSG finally achieve their dream of winning the Champions League in 2025, before being the absolute boss as they won it a 2nd time in 2026. Can the Georgian wizard win the Ballon d'Or? Don't bet against it.